Ryan, welcome. How, as a media company, are you responding to changing consumer behaviors?
Well, there's never a dull moment in a shifting media landscape, and certainly over the last 15 years, let alone 18 months, consumer behavior is shifting pretty meaningfully with the rise of new social platforms like TikTok through the pandemic, and certainly now with AI tools, rise of new mediums like audio and video. And so, as a media company, you always have to be shifting, and it's our jobs to make sure that we're meeting audiences where they expect to be met, whether that's on a social platform, whether that's in their podcast feed, whether it's on their YouTube playlists or on websites or in their email inboxes. And so there's no silver bullet answer, but you really have to sort of understand where you are as a brand and what the relationship is with the consumers that you're trying to reach, and be authentic about where you're going to show up, whether it's in real life events like here at Code, or whether it's in your inbox or whatever it might be. And so I think we uniquely do a good job of sort of reaching consumers across platforms. We're at Vox Media, one of the biggest publishers in terms of scale for our websites. We've got a top 10 podcast network. We've got 50 million YouTube subscribers. And so we sort of built scale, but still through a sort of quality and authentic way.
Looking to next year, I won't ask you to look beyond that because that's going to be incredibly difficult. But what do you think are going to be the cultural trends that shape the media business?
I think we're going to continue sort of probably a little bit of a meme at this point to continue to sort of talk about AI as a trend that's going to continue to sort of shape the landscape. But I think inevitably it will. And I think things are moving at such a rapid pace. You're hearing that sort of pretty consistently from the speakers on stage here, that sort of the pace of development is sort of at a pace in sort of a technology cycle that most veterans of the technology industry have not seen before in their careers. And so that's both exciting, it's a little scary of just what it's going to look like in a relatively short period of time. But I think that combination, I think regardless of what are the mediums and what are the trends, there are certain things that over the centuries of media actually don't change, which is you've got to have really great brands, and you've got to produce amazing content, and you've got to distribute it and make sure it's available to people and to audiences and sort of wherever they expect to find it. And if you have that, if you don't lose that core, then you can sort of go through the sort of trials and tribulations of new mediums, new platforms, and continue to sort of have that relationship and build a sustainable business.
With so many different platforms, though, obviously you have your core brand, your core meaning and values, but how do you transmute that across all of these different platforms and create that audience engagement, that relationship with your audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it sort of varies across platforms, but it really starts with like having the really strong, authentic brands that are like focused on what they're doing, whether it's The Verge covering the latest in technology news trends, or Eater giving you recommendations on restaurants to go to here in LA or in New York, or New York Magazine, which is, our aim is to be not necessarily the first thing you read every day, but the best thing you read every day. And so making sure that you sort of have a clear strategy and understanding of what is the reason we're showing up in this platform or in this way, trying to reach this audience. I think sometimes you see media companies sort of chasing certain trends because they think they're supposed to, or they think that's where they should be. But we've got a number of brands that are either more social oriented and social platform focused, and others that are more audio and video focused, and others that might be more newsletter focused. And so, making sure that you have a authentic reason to sort of reach your audiences across different platforms is a core part of what makes Vox Media unique, and I think a core part of what making a portfolio media company. We have 18 brands, and it sort of lets us let each brand sort of be where they should authentically be, based on where the audience expects them to be.
What's the importance of Code for Vox Media?
Oh, it's incredibly important. First off, it's an incredibly long-lasting legacy over 20 years that Kara and Walt started, and we're just grateful since we acquired Recode to be able to continue the legacy. And Kara in particular, over the last few years, put on an amazing event, and we sort of have made the the transition, and Nilay and Julia and Casey are doing a great job. But I think you see more and more the sort of need and appetite for in-person engagement and interaction is at an all-time high. And so being able to do it at a venue like this, and topics like AI and sort of big things that everyone here in the room is like spending their time sweating and thinking about, and being able to sort of share what people are seeing and sort of learn from each other, I think is a really special. And Code is just an incredible brand and legacy that we're just grateful to be able to continue.
Brian, thank you so much.
Wonderful.